All right, one thing I want to pick up on that I did not cover, which is very important before we get into the actual use of this all afternoon, has to do with a profound thing that happens with this that unless you are aware of it, you won't notice it. And that has to do with belief changes and cognitive shifts that happens as you're doing this. You see, with somehow or other, when this process is successful, which is most of the time, it literally shifts the beliefs that people have about their issue. Now, you won't know that unless you ask them questions. A great example would be, I've had many cases of rape, for example, where I might ask the client to begin with, how they feel about the assailant. And I get terms like he's a beast and he ought to be put in jail, and so on and so on and so forth, and they end up as a result with the belief at some level within them that all men are potential rapists, and they look over their shoulder the rest of their life, and they have difficulty having normal romantic relationships, and so on and so forth. I could ask them logically whether all men are potential rapists or whatever. And logically, no. They will tell you no. But from an emotional level, because of their experience, they behave and react as though that were a very true statement. Now, with great regularity, after doing the tapping for the rape issue, they will say something like, "Oh, he was the one with the problem. I was just in the way." Now, do you hear a very healthy cognitive shift? That doesn't mean it's still her favorite experience, okay? It doesn't mean she wants to talk about it a lot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but do you hear the cognitive shift underneath? That's the kind of thing therapists work for months and years to get somebody to say and believe it, okay? And in this case, if you will ask properly, so you're getting their proper statement out, they will give you that cognitive shift. They will also behave differently as time unfolds because of the cognitive shift. Now, one of the criticisms that I've gotten over time that's inaccurate about EFT is that it doesn't allow you insights. That's the way it's going. The one I use allows you insights. But see, EFT does not allow you insights, okay? And a better way to state that is, whatever I do has within it a protocol for finding out what the insights are. Like there's some talk therapy involved in it or something like that, okay? And so therefore, EFT isn't what it's supposed to be because we don't get these insights. Well, let me suggest something to you. It's a matter of semantics. When you have insights to something, you have a cognitive shift which you are then discussing and you are then articulating. You have a cognitive shift going on, a belief change, if you will. And it's called an insight because it is verbalized, because it is articulated, because they talk about it and they go, "Oh yeah, that's right," And right before the therapist's ears and eyes, the person is saying, "Oh yeah, and this happened and that happened. No, I know that," and they have an insight. "Ah, now I see." Okay? Insight, okay? Now with EFT, we do this tapping, they have the cognitive shift, but unless you put something into the protocol that will bring these insights out, these cognitive shifts out, they will not be called insights because they have not verbalized them. And therefore, they don't know they had an insight. They will behave differently. They've had the cognitive shift very clearly, and you'll see that the more experience you have with it. It happens greatly, and it's very profound. But unless you dovetail in there some form of way to verbalize that, you will not see the insights, okay? Interesting point. Now, question is, well, why don't we just put something in the protocol that creates insights and all of that, And that's because I wanted to leave this as flexible as I can. Now, when I was dealing with the Vietnam veterans, or for that matter, the prisoners, I dealt with a number of prisoners that are, in prison for murder and serial murder and people with a lot of problems. Many of these people could not care less about the why of it. Our Vietnam veterans, for example, want one thing: they don't want those nightmares anymore. And you could stomp on their big toe, and if the nightmares went away, they couldn't care less as long as the nightmares go away. They don't want to articulate it. They don't want to go over it again. They've done that hundreds of times with all the conventional stuff, and they're sick of it. And so, it's meaningless to them. So we can just do the tapping, and as long as we are proficient in what we're doing, get the right issues and so on, we should have great success with it. They'll walk out the door without any, they have a lot of cognitive shifts, but they'll walk out the door without them. The fellow the Vietnam vet on our EFT course tapes, his name was Robert. He was, those of you who saw it, he was the fellow that had to shoot this young boy, Vietnamese boy that was walking towards him like a zombie with a loaded grenade, okay? And he'd shoot the boy in the head, okay? And so that has stayed with him forever. What you did not see on the tape, because at the time I was editing it, I didn't want to show it, although I should have in retrospect, is when he started talking about this, he just broke into big tears. And he says, "You don't shoot little kids." And he was really, I should have shown it, but I did not. At the time I was editing, I was trying to look out for his own reputation, that kind of, even though he had signed agreements that allowed me to use this. So I didn't show it. But that's what he said. "You don't shoot little kids." And he was really upset about it. We started doing the tapping. Anyway, those of you who saw the film saw that shift in him. And he would say, no, he says, I'm looking at it now like it was a movie. After we were doing some tapping. I'm looking at it now, he was coming up, but it's like it's a movie, okay? Like he's apart from it. And at the end of it, he said, and you can hear this on the tape, he says, he says, it was him or me. And that was the case. It was him or me, okay? And he didn't really have much of a choice because the kid was going to come and throw some grenade in his Jeep, But that, while it may seem a little subtle, is a major cognitive, that is major. From "you don't shoot little kids" to "it was him or me." And that doesn't mean he has no remorse about it. He's for sure, they wish it didn't happen. He's not going to talk and go out and brag about it. But as far as having the unnecessary sting leave, it went, and the cognitive shift was very obvious in that. Okay. I want to make sure of that point for you, because it will be an issue for many of you about cognitive shifts and insights and all of that. Okay. Now, what we want to do is start doing EFT for a variety of things. And so what we're going to do first, we're going to do EFT on physical discomforts. Now, that's kind of a broad term because it can mean anything that's physically discomfort. It could be something like, oh, I've got a stiff back. It could be I've got a stiff neck. It could be I have a headache. I have a breathing problem. It could be any of those things. What I'd like to have you do for the moment is just kind of close your eyes, if you would, and take an inventory of your body and just notice if there are any discomforts. And you may have some ongoing big ones, may have a minor one or two, but just pick one out if you have any. And by the way, when you're picking one out, don't ignore the impossible. If you have one that you would think would be impossible to work with EFT, you may be right, by the way. We don't necessarily take care of the impossible. But don't eliminate it from this experience here just because you think it's impossible. Sometimes we get the impossible and we don't know how to explain it, but it works, okay? So anyway, just locate one, if you would. And then you open your eyes for a second. How many of you located some form of physical discomfort that we can tap on? Okay. Well, that's most of it. Typically, that's true. How many did not find one? Somebody must have not. Oh, not one person didn't find one. Oh, good. I love it. You're all in pain, Okay. Now, what I'd like to have you do is evaluate that on a scale of 0 to 10, but I need to give you a little instruction on that, okay? Some of the discomforts you have will be that whatever number you arrive at if you just sit there and don't move your body. But other things, for example, like a back pain or something, you may sit there and say, well, it's a 3, but if I did this, it would be an 8, okay? Or my neck is a little stiff, it's a 2, but if I did that, oh God, that's about a 6, or that's a 10, or whatever it might be, okay? So some of you may need to move your body a little bit to get the pain. Now, remember, you need to take care of yourself physically. I am not a physician. I don't have a clue what goes on with you anatomically, okay? So So take care of yourself. Don't do anything in the way of stretching, bending, moving, or anything else that might be deleterious to you. But what we need to do is to begin with a beginning number of this. What is on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is the worst it has ever been, 0 is absolutely nothing, what level would you give it now? And if you need to move something, like let's say it's your neck, just for example, you might want to move your neck. Remember where that was. That's a 7, okay? But remember where that was and write that down, okay? Because that's what you want to test later on. But I got to tell you something to be noticed for. If your neck here is a 7 and we do this and you test it out again, what many people do is they'll do this. They'll test it, they'll go, oh, okay, that's a 7. Okay, and they don't realize they're moving much farther. That's why I say be careful right to where you go to, okay? Because you actually had movement on and didn't realize if you just keep moving, after a while you got your nose on this side, you know. Okay, what number did you come up with? 7. You write your number down, by the way.
6, 5, 8, right here. 6, 4, 7, 3,
5, 6, 5, 7, 6, 4, 5, 4, 8, 4, 7. Okay, I'll stop right there. Okay, I just want to get a sense of it. So we got things anywhere from like 3s up to 8s or so. Anybody have a 10? 9? Anybody write down a 9? Oh, is 8 our winner? Oh, we need the microphone.
Oh my.
Quick, huh?
There's a problem I've noticed several times, how to number grade unremitting pain, which is not of a sharp and severe nature, but it's just there's no time off, and by that virtue, it's horrible.
Okay. What I suggest in a case like that, just like in every case, what you're really doing is estimating, but even beyond that, what you're doing is you're trying to provide a benchmark by which you can now measure the future. So call it a 10 if you want to. And then when we do the tapping, if it happens to be less, then compared to the 10, it is now a 6. You see what I mean?
I think doing it. I think what I mean is a pain that is not supernally severe in a given moment, but it just never goes on vacation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but you were also asking about how you evaluate that on a 0 to 10 scale. Did I not hear that, or did I miss that?
Yeah, I don't know how to put a numerical evaluation. Right. You could say, well, oh, that's a 4, but if you're asking me what it's like to live with it, it's a 10 experience because I'm never without the
Give
pain.
it any number that feels right, because what's going to be important is after we do the tapping, does it feel any different? And then compared to that whatever number you gave it, what is it? If it was a 4, if you gave it a 4 and now it's a 3, well, if it's still a 4, it's still a 4. Maybe it went to an 8, by the way. That may happen, okay? But if it's whatever that number is, you have a benchmark. You have a guideline to start with. And then after we've done the tapping, if there's been any change in it, then you can evaluate that change compared to that number that you assigned to it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, now that you've rated it, we're going to do a round of EFT on it, okay? And we're going to do the whole basic recipe, but what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to write down a phrase for it, okay? If it's a headache you have, that's real easy, even though I have this headache, okay? If it's a back pain, even though I have this back pain. Or whatever it may be, even though I have this breathing problem, whatever the case may be, but you need to write that down because that's what you're going to use when you do your version of the, even though I have this whatever, and when you do the reminder phrase like this, okay? You can say this, whatever it is, okay? That's the phrase you're going to use. So it could be a word, phrase, 3, 4 words, whatever fits for you, okay? All right, now we're going to do it, and when we're done with this, I'm going to ask you to evaluate again. And put down a number for it. But I want to tell you something in advance. The number you have when you're done with this may be higher than the number you start with. That's okay. That's okay. I'll tell you why as we go on. But it may be higher. You may start with a 6 and get up to a 9. Possibly. If that's what happens, put it down. Also recognize that it may well be the case that the pain, the discomfort shifted. The headache isn't here, it's over here, okay? The pain in the neck isn't here, it's on my shoulder now. Okay? If that happens, you want to make note of that, okay? Because there's reasons for that, and that's part of the learning process here. Sometimes it changes nature, like instead of being a sharp pain, it's a dull throb. Okay? That happens as well. All that is indicative of things which I want to bring to your attention as we do this. So for right now, we're going to zero in on that one specific physical discomfort, and we're going to start right here, okay? Just right with me. You're going to fill in the, I'll say, even though I have this, and you're going to fill in your own blank, okay? Even though I have this, oh, well, we have to be a little more into it, okay? Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. All right, right here, this, and then say it. This. This. A little louder. This. 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 A little louder, please. This. Okay, on the thumb point, this. 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 Now, 9 gamut. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Hard down right. Hard down left. Roll them in a circle. Other direction. Happy birthday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Happy birthday. Okay, the sequence again. This, whatever it is. This. 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 A little louder. This. This, 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 this. Okay. We're going to do a round in a minute about our own self-conscious, about speaking out. One thing I probably should have said to you, though, by the way, was that if your particular physical issue is nobody's business, menstrual cramps, for example, or PMS or something like that, you could just hum it, even though I have this. I'm serious about that. Even though I had this, those of you who run workshops, etc. like that, there are some issues that are just a little too private for people. And so even though I have this, and sometimes when you're one-on-one with a client, they don't want you to know either. And that's okay. They can be private, even though I have this, okay? And that's fine. And are they still tuned into their problem? Yeah. You might be a little more efficient if you know what the was, because maybe it's a little more global than you need to be, but it's a way to work with it at least, okay? All right, if you would, write down, notice your discomfort, whatever it is, tune into it, and notice if there's a change. Now, put down a new number if there is a new number. Put down if it's changed location. Put down if it's changed nature of some kind. Different kind of discomfort, something like that. What number did you start with? Okay, you go 7 to, what are you now? Still 7 or?
6.
7 to 6.
5 to 2.
5 to 2.
7 to 5.
7 to 5.
6 to 3.
6 to 3.
5 to 4.
5 to 4.
8 to 7.
8 to 7.
3.5 to 3.5.
3.5 to 3.5, no change.
6 to 7.
6 to 7, you went up a little bit, okay?
4 to 4.
4 to 4, no change, okay?
6 to 5.
6 to 5.
8 to 0.
8 to 0.
3, but it's shifted.
3, but it shifted to where?
Well, I had it pain here and here, and now it's all condensed right here.
Okay, it was here and here, but now it's condensed to right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, interesting.
5 to 3.
5 to 3.
6 to 2.
6 to 2.
4 to 3.
4 to 3.
7 to 3.
7 to 3.
6 to 2.
6 to 2.
4 to 5.
You went up a little bit, okay?
5 to 5.
5 to 5, didn't change at all, okay?
4 to 2.
4 to 2.
8 to 6.
8 to 6.
5 to 5.
5 to 5, didn't change at all.
7 to 7.
It's real convincing, isn't it, when it doesn't change?
Yeah, it did change, but it wasn't in number.
Oh, it did, well, wait a minute. Okay, it did change. Yeah, you see, it changed, but it wasn't a number. Go ahead, use the, what does that mean?
It changed quality.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, it changed from what to what?
It went from sharp to dull, and it broadened.
Okay, is it like a headache, or can you
No, it's
disclose
my
what?
hip. Sure, it's pain in my left hip. That
Pain in your
radiates
left
down
hip.
my leg.
Okay, so the number that you're assessing is still the same,
Yes.
yet the quality changed.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to stop there I'm going to launch off that. A couple of them had quality changes. Who could estimate or offer me a guess? Why did we have quality changes? Why? Oh, come on, you guys are all experts. Go ahead. We're here to Jim.
Because we're experiencing a different aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're experiencing a different aspect of it. Yes. At least that would be my take on it. Those of you who went up, for example, how many of you went up? I just want to see this. How many of you number went up? 1, 2, just not very many. Okay. How many of you noticed a shift in quality of some kind? Okay, that's maybe a third of you, roughly. How many of you noticed a change in location of it? Yeah, not so many of those. Okay. I see that all the time. We're going to have more rounds of this, by the way, but what tends to happen there is that our physical ailments are a manifestation of our emotional issues. And as we deal with a physical issue, at least in my experience is what is happening, is that we're actually taking care of, or we're addressing an emotional issue behind it. And we do something with it. We may or may not take it to zero at this point, but we have done something to relieve it. So it has now shifted in some fashion. It has changed nature. It has changed location. It may have gotten out of the way so that a bigger issue is coming up. And that may well be why for those of you the number went up, why it goes up. It's like we took care of an underlying issue, but now it's like we take care of the pimples on the surface, and now here comes the boil, okay? That will tend to happen as well. So I call that chasing the pain. Now, the other thing I want to mention to you is I went around the room and I heard the numbers went from what to what and what to what to what. Well, who went to 8 to 0? Who was that went to 8 to 0? Oh, okay. Can we have the microphone for her? Do you mind discussing what the pain was?
No.
It's not, okay, good. What was it?
Well, it's a pain in my buttock that has been sort of undiagnosable.
Pain in the ass, right?
Yeah, right.
yeah, that's all right. We're not in polite company. Go ahead.
In my left buttock.
Uh-huh.
And I can't produce it just sitting here. It usually happens when I walk, and particularly after I take a hike.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I produced it by stretching
So you did some stretching while we're...
to feel the pain again.
Just now, before we...
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I stretched after,
And?
and I couldn't get it
You
back.
couldn't get it back. Oh, interesting. Why do you have a pain in the ass? Didn't expect that question, but why not?
I don't know.
Okay, but if you did know, what would be your best guess? You just knew I was going to do that, didn't you? No, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I don't really have no idea. I've had this problem for a long time, and I've always assumed it's been compression because I've carried a chair on my head. I've done a lot of backpacking. It always gets worse after I do any backpacking.
Yes, okay.
But this helped a lot.
Why? Do you know
Maybe
why?
I relaxed my muscles.
Well, maybe. And why would you relax your muscles?
Because when I'm focusing like this, I get into a relaxation state.
Yeah. Let me suggest something to you. And this, by the way, launches off not only from what we're talking about here, but also into athletics. Okay? One of the things this does is as it helps relieve emotional issues, and remember, emotional issues tend to show up in the body as tension in the muscles, and this kind of thing is what stress is all about. Okay? As it does that, the push and pull of your various muscles and bones and one thing and another, on your joints and all that is relaxed. And that's why oftentimes we'll find people that have severe back pain and clear damage for it. We'll do this and, gee. It's because we have taken all the excess, unnecessary pushing and pulling from the emotional issues they have that are causing conflict in the system and hence creating stress in muscles and pushing and pulling and adding to the pain, okay? We take care of that and, oh, gee, where'd my pain go? Even though the damage may still be there. My suggestion is we did something like that. But I want to get to athletics for a second. Take a golfer, for example. Golfers often will address the ball. How many golfers do we have here, by the way? I'm curious. We don't have a lot of golfers, but whatever. They'll address the ball, and sometimes they'll start to bring the club back, and they'll know right then that they're going to blow this shot. There's some self-doubt shows up, some little mental thing comes up to play, and they know right. And sometimes they'll just stop right there, and they have this little routine. They go through, they run around the ball 3 times, take a deep breath. They do all kinds of things to come back, and do this. But they don't know what they're trying to do, except that they know this self-doubt is there, there's tension there, something is there, and they're trying to relieve it. Okay. If they would stop and tap, even though I'm feeling, out of sorts right now, or even though I have self-doubts or whatever, or even a very shorthand version of that, the odds are they're going to relax the muscle tension in their body. And let me ask you, when you're going to hit a golf ball, that little bitty ball with that club head that you can bring all the way around through here, if you're off by 1/8 of an inch in hitting that ball, what happens to the ball? Does it go where you want it to? If you're golfers, believe me, it's like a slice off into the water someplace, okay? You've got to be right on. So if you've got extra muscle tension, your odds of doing that are smaller and smaller and smaller to the extent you relax it. Then your muscles will work more smoothly, and you're much more likely to hit that accurately. Where's my basketball coach? Right here, okay. With your basketball players, same thing. Now, okay, well, what I want to do now, thank you, Jojo, for the mic running. Can we have a hand for our mic runner, please? Oh, my. Okay, what I want to do now, I want to mention something else to you. When we went around this room, okay, and I started to get the numbers, they went from whatever number it was to whatever number it was. They weren't the numbers I'm used to, okay? And that is because, at least this is my perception, we didn't get into it well enough. By the way, those who went from 5 to 5 and 3.5 to 3.5 and whatever, what is the likely cause of them not making any movement at all? Psychological reversal. Thank you. The setup. Chances are we did not get by the setup, okay? And the movement was very slight, like 8 to 7 or something like that. I consider that no movement at all. In the way I look at it. There may have been some movement, but that is so slight to me, I find it hard to be able to tell the difference between an 8 and a 7, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to let you get out of your own way, okay? And we're going to do this very emphatically. We're going to yell it, okay? Even though I have this, I deeply and completely, but we're going to yell it, okay? We need to buckle the walls, okay? Are you ready for this? All right. Remember your phrase now, okay? All right, right here. Even though I have, wait. I was thinking we would need to be going to the, even though I still have some of this, but I don't want to do that at this moment. I want to go through the original, even though I have this, okay? So, let's start again. You ready? Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, this, under your eye, this, under the nose, this, chin point, this, right here, this, right here, this. Okay, I'm going to stop right there for a second. Okay, that's our shortcut move. Okay, write your number. Notice your physical issue and write your number down. And I'm going to go back around here for a second, but the way you answer me is you start with your first number. Like I went from a 5 to a 4 to a 2. That's how you do all three numbers. Okay, something like whatever you went to. Okay, go ahead. What happened?
3.
From what to what to what?
A 7 to a 6 to a 3.
7 to a 6 to a 3.
5 to a 2 to a 0.
520.
754.
754.
631.
631.
542.
542.
875.
875.
3.5,
3.5, 3.5, 2.
6, 7, 8.
Stop for a second. Why did you go from 3.5 to 2? Why did you make no movement and then drop roughly in half? 3.5 to 2 is roughly in half. Okay. Why did you do that?
I'm not sure.
Well, who is more sure than her and would like to offer a guess? Go over here to Jane.
The psychological reversal of the setup being stronger the second
Yeah,
half?
that would be, I don't know for sure, okay, but that's just my experience. Chances are we did it. Now we started to get, we noticed numbers drop a little faster over here, okay? But anyway, so we got 3.5, 2.
6, 7, 8.
6, you went up, okay? Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, based on my previous conversation, or
It's possible the psychological reversal needs to be done more emphatically with me.
okay, that would not be my take, but thank you for that. My take on that would be psychological reversal was fine because we had movement.
Okay.
It went in the direction you don't want.
Right, it
Okay.
increased in intensity and it spread out a little bit.
So it changed nature as well.
It remained, the original pain was still there, but it moved, it increased in area.
Okay. Okay, that's a change.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. My speculation on that, if we were one-on-one in a room, this is the wrong environment for it, but we're tapping into bigger issues you may not be aware of.
Right.
And there's, in fact, you may even be aware, coming into your consciousness may be experiences that you haven't dealt with for a while or you'd rather not deal with, or I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth in a way.
You're on track.
I'm on track, okay, all right, good. Where'd your numbers go to? Thank you very much.
4, 4, 1.5.
4, 4, 1.5. So again, we went no movement and on down to 1.5. And the only thing we know we did differently would be the very emphatic setup difference. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
657.
6, 5, 7. Okay, we went down a little bit and then we zip right on up to Intenseville. Carol?
I was happy with 0.
You were happy with 0, that's right, you went 0. You didn't want to go to sub-zero? All right, go ahead, Lexi.
Mine stayed about a 3 here, but now instead of up here, it shifted down, and now it's down to a little bit here, and there's back here.
That's right, you went from here to here,
And now it's still here, but it's down to back here.
and now we got some stuff here.
Right.
Okay. Why? Because we're tapping into other aspects. See, the more you get used to this, the more you'll see this is one of the most obvious links between one's emotional issues and one's physical ailments. Okay? And I only say it because I have lots and lots and lots of experience tapping with people with emotional ailments, and the physical stuff fades, and then I tap on the physical and some of the emotional stuff fades. You know, so I make that link. You know. Go ahead to Jane here. We went from what to what to what?
531.
531. Okay.
622.
622.
432.
Okay. Why did she probably go from 6 to 2 to 2 and make no headway the second time? Why? Well, she may well have switched aspects. That way, something else may have come up. Maybe even for whatever is remaining on this issue that be emotionally involved, even that setup wasn't good enough for her. We may have to go below that and find some other driving issue underneath it. I don't know. I mean, I'm speculating here. I'm not psychoanalyzing all that stuff. I'm just speculating. My experience is when I don't make headway, I always ask, why not? I don't say it didn't work. You know, I say, what have to do next? Go ahead. That was you. Okay. I'm sorry.
432.
432.
732.
732.
622.
622. Okay.
450.
4 to 5 to 0. Okay. Again, I don't know what happens here. But I would speculate based on my experience, is that we tapped into something after the first round that was important to you. Somehow or other, the second round, we decimated it, it appears. Are you aware of what that emotional issue may be? You don't have to share it, but are you aware of it, or what it might be? You're not. Okay. Sometimes you are. You say what?
I yelled louder.
You yelled louder. Okay. Well, do you think that was really the difference?
I think so.
Oh, do you? Yelling louder does that?
Well, I think I made a slightly better, more positive affirmation.
Well, okay, and that would be evidence of the psychological reversal not being gotten through the very first time. Mm-hmm. The second time you did it emphatically, and here it came. It may well be she went from 4 to 5 to 0, right? 4 to 5 to 0. It may have been going to 4 to 5. There really wasn't enough difference, may not even been a difference. You just thought there might have been a difference. It's such a small difference in between there. Okay, but go ahead. What was your number?
553.
553.
421.
421.
862.
862.
553.
553. So now you went down. And what? Give him the microphone. And what happened to the hip? Anything more?
Yeah, it changed in intensity. It decreased in intensity, but I sound like a crock.
You're among friends.
It became like something between a cross between a vibrator and an electric shock. It changed quality and it spread up the side of my back.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Again, my take on that is we're tapping into emotional issues you may or may not be able to articulate. Are you able to?
No,
Okay, but something is happening along those lines. We're doing something like that. Okay? All right, go ahead.
777.
777. Made no headway whatsoever. Okay. Please pay particular attention to what happens here with Lori and what turns out to be her broken nose. While her healing starts out very slowly, you will see as these tapes unfold dramatic progress, even though the problem is presumably a mechanical one, a broken nose that several surgeries, have yet to correct. I bring this to your attention because I want to emphasize 3 points. One of those is the link between one's emotional issues and the physical manifestation. You're going to see as we address some of her emotional things, this is when the healing starts to unfold for her. Secondly, the value of being specific. We get very specific with Lori about what's going on. And finally, this is very important, the value of being persistent. You see, this is an easy one to give up on. I mean, it's really easy. Why? It's a broken nose. You can take x-rays of it. You can see what's wrong with it. You can say, oh, well, surgeries couldn't correct it. You know, what can we do with a little tapping? But it's the persistent use of this that often creates very dramatic results. I'm very happy to have been able to bring this to you on tape so you could see it, but I want you to know that this result is not rare. This happens with some frequency. And the more you have experience with EFT, the more you will see that oftentimes we'll get results where conventional techniques just don't seem to do it. Now, are you comfortable telling us what the discomfort is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a nostril problem. I had nose surgery in February, and it's still healing.
Oh, okay. And so you're saying nostril problem, is it like a constricted breathing, is that it?
Yeah.
So it's not a pain, it's a...
It's not a pain, no.
Oh, okay.
But it's a discomfort.
Yeah, okay, so you're not able to breathe in, okay.
Right.
We're going to do a breathing thing here a little bit later.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. If there was an emotional contributor to that, you don't have to discuss what it was if you don't want to, but are you able to pick one out?
Well, I have an emotion about it that I guess maybe would be, I don't know if that's the contributing factor. The event was the contributing factor. My emotion is anger.
About what?
About falling at the place of employment on steps that were to be repaired.
Oh, okay. Do this for
my
me.
nose.
Do you mind doing this with me?
No, I'll do it.
So even though I have this anger about falling,
Even though I have this anger about falling.
and I think the whole thing was my fault.
And I think the whole thing
By the way,
was my fault.
say this stuff whether you believe it or not.
Okay.
And I'm dipping into
Yeah,
some of the...
because I don't know about that part
Okay,
of it.
that's okay. I'm dipping into some of the more advanced stuff here, okay? But we're going to do it. Okay, but go along with me anyway.
I will.
Okay, okay. Even though I'm angry at myself for that fall,
Even though I'm angry at myself for that fall.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely
I
accept
forgive
myself.
myself for carrying the anger around.
I forgive myself for carrying the anger
It's in my
around.
nose.
It's in my nose.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the
Just
place.
showing up in my nose.
It's just showing up in my nose.
And I forgive anyone else who may have contributed to the problem,
I forgive anyone else that contributed to the problem.
whether it be somebody who may have been part of the fall
Whether it be somebody who was part of the fall
or contributed something to having the fall occur,
or contributed something to having the fall occurred,
or just myself for carrying it all around.
or just myself for carrying it all
I
around.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
It's all an
myself.
inside job.
It's all an inside job.
My nose has taken forever to heal.
My nose is taking forever to heal.
Is that a true statement?
It's a true
Much longer
statement.
than it should.
Much longer than
Perhaps
it
I'm
should.
just carrying more emotion around
Perhaps I'm carrying more emotion around than I need.
Okay. Carrying more emotion than I need.
Carrying
more emotion than I need.
More emotion than I need.
Anger about that fall.
Anger about that fall.
Anger about that fall.
Anger about that fall.
It's all an inside job.
It's all an inside job.
Anger about that fall.
Anger about that fall.
Okay. Now, by the way, I have no idea whether this is really going to make any difference or not. Okay, but can you tell? What do you do? Do you take a breath or something?
Yeah, just take a breath.
Okay, is it still a 7?
No, it's probably about 6.
How do you know it's a 6? That's not much of a change.
Because I'm so conscious because I have carried this around so
Oh,
long.
okay.
It's because it's been like a 7-year thing, and I've had to have like repeated nose surgeries.
Yeah.
So this last one, really did the job, but it's like still letting the air through, and I'm so conscious of it because you breathe every moment, and you just know.
Okay. Even though I still have some of this problem.
Even though I still have some of this
And I've been
problem.
carrying around for 7 years.
And I've been carrying around for 7 years.
And even though I'm not aware of it,
And even though I'm not
even though I
aware
may
of it,
not be aware of it,
even though I may not be aware of it,
I may be keeping it around for reasons
I may be keeping it around for
that are
reasons
totally illogical,
that are totally illogical.
that somehow I think serve me someplace else.
That somehow I think serve me someplace else.
Maybe I get attention for it.
Maybe I what?
Get attention for it.
Get attention
Maybe
for
I
it.
just get to gripe.
Maybe I get to gripe.
Maybe whatever.
Maybe whatever.
I deeply and completely accept myself for all those needs.
I deeply and completely accept myself
And,
for all
and I
those
honor
needs.
my nose for giving me all these messages
And I honor my nose for giving me all these messages.
and keeping the real light from coming up my nose
And keeping the real light from coming up my nose.
and the real answers that I need.
And the real answers I need.
The real answers up my nose.
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 Anger.
Anger.
Keeping it around.
Keeping when.
Keeping it around.
Keeping around.
Keeping it around. Keeping it around. Okay, try it again. Tell me if it's still 6.
It's there still.
Well,
But
is it
it's
still-
not, it's not as strong. I don't know how to explain that other than it's the airflow that either comes through more smoothly and quickly or openly or more tighter, and it's less tight.
Well, if it was a 7, then it was a 6. Is it still a, what would you call it now? Just an estimate.
6.5 maybe.
6.5.
going down, yeah.
Is there a quality? Is it a quality change I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, in a case.
But you know what's interesting is
Yeah.
that, did you ever read Louise Hay books?
Yeah.
But she makes a statement that any injury to your face or your nose is to receive recognition.
Okay.
And, you know, so when you said that one part of it about what I'm achieving from it, back then, I could really honestly have said that it was a way to draw attention to myself, even though consciously that's not the way I would have chosen. It just happened that way.
Okay. Do this for me. Even though I still
I'll
need.
never get done here.
No. One more round. Even though I still need attention.
And even though I still need attention,
I deeply, completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely
We all
accept
need
myself.
attention.
We all need attention.
Ever since we're little kids, we need attention.
Ever since we're little kids,
Sometimes we
need
mistake attention for love.
Sometimes we mistake attention for love.
Sometimes we do that a lot.
Sometimes we do that a lot.
And sometimes when we don't get attention, we think we're not loved.
Sometimes when we don't get attention, we think we're not loved.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Okay. Just tap here. Okay. Say this emotion. All right, try it again and tell me if it's still a 6.5 or if there's been a quality change of some kind.
It's more of a quality change.
Okay, and what would it be?
More air can go through my nose, come up my nose.
Well, if more air can go up your nose, I thought what you were doing was evaluating on the 7, the 6, the 6, and whatever, all that stuff. You were evaluating the ability for it to go up your nose.
No.
Oh, what were you evaluating?
I was trying to lower the conscious effort that I have to pay attention to my breathing. Because
Oh.
every time I breathe, I feel this one wall of my nose.
Oh, okay. All right.
As if something's, in its way.
All right. Now, let me suggest something to you. This case appears to be a little stubborn, although we're making movement, are we not? Okay. And it needs more work on it. But it's my guess that if you sat down with somebody, who knew their way around this and really dug into some stuff, there's emotional issues behind it. See, and just by talking for a little while, and by the way, all that stuff that I said, I call it the garbage and the gold, because I just started, I get myself out of the way, like we talk here, it comes through me, not by me, and I'm just letting it roll out, even though it makes no sense to you. Once in a while, we get some gold out of there. We hit the bullseye, and so you talked about this one issue, that was, and the rest of it may have been garbage, I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, most of the rest of it was on too?
Yeah, because for me, all of it made a lot of sense.
Okay.
Even if it's slightly,
All right.
it's.
Okay, let me emphasize something too. This is getting the advanced stuff, but see, I don't know her. I've never met her before. And I just get myself out of the way, and I just trust to come out. So I say whatever shows up, okay? And I've got to the point where I just trust it so much that I'm rarely off, even though sometimes to the person I appear off, but 6 months later they'll come up to me and they say, you said so and so, but you know what? And I was on at the moment. And it's not me that's doing it, by the way. It's not me. It's very important to recognize. It's not me. We all have that intuitive sense. All of us have it, okay? But anyway, I would spend more time with you getting to the emotional issues and free that up. Because there's no real reason for that thing to stick around for 7 years.
No,
Okay? Unless we have some emotional
Not
issues.
after, well, I think this is maybe a question too, is how much of tapping, like when you talk a physical thing, how much of tapping works and how much the medical field has to be a part of it. Because I know without those surgeries, I don't think I would have been at this point of breathing even.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. But I will tell you what wouldn't surprise me is if you had done tapping to begin with and never had a surgery, it may have been that you'd be fine. But I don't know that. I really don't know that because there's a lot of mechanical things. You see, we take X-rays and we can see the congestion. We need to scrape this out or whatever we do. Okay?
Oh no, my nose was not on my face properly.
Oh, okay.
So it was
Sure.
definitely a
Oh,
medical.
all right. All right. I am not a medical person at all. You know, I'm speaking way out of turn when I start talking about drugs and surgeries and stuff like that. But I will tell you in my experience, there are many, 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 many times that I've done things where apparently the medical profession has legitimately thrown up their hands.
Right.
And all of a sudden, bingo, here we are. We made some headway right here.
No, and I think that's true because this is the last surgery I'm to have.
Uh-huh.
Anything beyond this would be probably cause irreversible damage. Do you know what I mean? There's a
Sure.
point of no return.
Sure.
So now I'm at this point where whatever is left, I have to deal with
Yeah.
it, function with it, work with it.
Okay. Well, I would dig into the emotional. I mean, I've seen evidence right now that further would do that.
Thanks.
Is anybody here, anywhere, as a result of this tapping, had a physical change, a physical improvement, let's say, that you would consider dramatic? Here? Here? Well, if I ask John here, would you please? Or give John the microphone?
I was working on the same thing that you were. I've always had just one nostril to be open at a time, but it would shift from one side to the other unless I was in a sudden, like, dangerous situation, and instantaneously both nostrils would be open. So what I focused on was, even though I only have one nostril open at a time, went from a 7 to a 5, and then while Gary was going around the room right there, all of a sudden I noticed and checked, and it was a 0. And both nostrils are just free-flowing right now.
Okay. Thank you, John. Let me ask something here. Would you please tune in now to whatever that emotional issue was, or that physical issue was, and give a number now, whether it's up, down, sideways, or whatever. Would you just write that number, wherever it is now? And what I'd like to know is how many of you would write down a lower number than you did when you just previously wrote it down. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. Okay. Maybe 10% of you or something like that. Okay, that's interesting, because a lot of times a little time goes by and the things start to subside. I don't know why that is. It's like a little delayed reaction, but you'll see that. It happens with emotional issues, physical issues from time to time. Okay, let me see what we're doing for time here. Okay. I want to go one more round on the physical, just one more round, okay? And this time we're going to do it even though I still have some of this left, okay? So, with me. Even though I still have some of this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have some of this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have some of this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, this, oh, it should be remaining, I'm sorry, remaining here, remaining, and now that's a shortcut sequence. We're going to do the 9 gamut, okay? Close your eyes, tap in the gamut point. Close your eyes, open your eyes, hard down right, hard down left, roll them in a circle, other direction. Happy birthday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Happy birthday. Okay, right here. Remaining. All right, check into your issue, if you would, your physical discomfort, and notice, write down whatever number you have at the moment, and write that down. Okay, how many here have gone on their issue to a very low number, 0, 1, or 2, or something like that? Well, that's about probably 2/3 of you is my guess. Maybe a little bit more than that. That's interesting. How many of you went to 0? Went to 0. That's about maybe 25%, I'm going to guess. What's interesting is all we did was this tapping, right? And there was no one-on-one work whatsoever, except for the one case here, okay? And yet we got that kind of result. That's interesting. See, when you can get one-on-one with people, you can do all this in a group, and you can get one-on-one with people, you can do a lot more with it, okay? Anybody have a major shift in quality of their issue? I know you. Go ahead, back here. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, let me extend a big thank you to Beth for allowing me to work with her for the next 20 minutes or so. Beth, as you will see, is in constant pain, and she has, no surprise, a number of emotional issues which help contribute to that pain. Now, we're going to work with her. You'll see her get physical relief, noticeable physical relief, but then it will come back. And what many practitioners, especially newcomers, conclude from that is, oh, well, EFT didn't work. And I want to suggest to you that you will have clients where this occurs, and that is not indicative of EFT not working. It's indicative of more work to be done. Not every one of our cases are one-minute wonders, and sometimes persistence is very, very important. Cases like Beth, which are resolvable, should be greeted as opportunities.
Well, I tried to write it down right away. First of all, there was not a real great reduction, but then I checked in again and I found relief from pain in other areas that we hadn't talked about.
Oh, such as?
A little in the neck, and I have chronic pain basically wherever my voluntary muscles are. It's constant, no rest, and so it's about as if I took a pretty good sized dose of ibuprofen, but I didn't. And
That's the physical relief you've got?
yeah,
Is that what you're talking about?
it was
Okay.
general. I thought, darn, if my neck doesn't feel somewhat better. And qualitatively, I had an overall physical sense as if I could feel more spaciousness. I don't know how to describe that except not such a closed-in feeling. And for a moment, I felt as though I were going to cry, although I couldn't identify a distinct issue. It just kind of came in like an arpeggio of music and then faded. And then as we did this
There
last
wouldn't
one,
be any emotional issue involved.
there are all kinds of emotional issues, and some of them are pretty gruesome.
Yeah, but let me interrupt
Yeah.
you for 1 second, if I
Yeah,
may.
sure.
Just to point something out. You'll see this sometime. You'll tap on physical issues, and some emotional stuff will show up. Tears and this kind of thing. They get welling in one thing and another, and that's more evidence that you're really, even though you're presumably tapping on physical issues, you're really getting to emotional things underneath. Go ahead.
And then as we did the last one, by the way, I'm really enjoying all the hoopla. I think this is wonderful.
Hoopla.
Yeah, jumping around and getting loud and having fun playing. Even though I take this real seriously too, I suddenly had a visual, and then as I paid attention to it, rest of the senses recall of place and time, and it was poignant.
Of a particular instance, you mean, an emotional event of some kind?
Well, no, the room where I lived for part of my childhood, it's like, oh, why, I'm remembering that right now. Boom.
And you have memories about that aren't too happy?
They're very sad.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
We're tapping on physical issues, and here come some emotional issues, okay? They show up. You talk to the client often enough, whoever you're dealing this with, and they'll show up, and now we can start tapping on them. I would love to be one-on-one with you right now in a room, because what we start doing is tapping on that. Would you mind coming up?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'd be glad to.
Okay. One thing I want to mention to you, though, if I can. What's your first name?
Beth.
Beth. Okay, come on up, Beth. Oh, Beth Baker. You talked to me on the telephone, didn't you? Yes. Come on up. I remember that. I thought you weren't going to come, as a matter of fact.
Well,
I got some message.
I'm too stubborn. I'm here anyways.
You're too stubborn. You're here anyway. Okay.
Slight problems.
One of the things, and thank you for coming up. Okay. But one of the things I want to point out to you is I don't even know what we're going to do for sure.
That's fine.
Okay. My intuition just said bring her up.
Fine.
Okay. However, as we get into things like this, we're on film. Okay, and we're in a public arena and all of that. And so if we get into something that's just really nobody's business, it's very easy for you to say, hey, we need to keep that private. You can either whisper it to me, or we can hum it, or whatever the case may be.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, take care of yourself, always. Because, see, we're not here to expose the whole world. We're trying to demonstrate some things, okay? But anyway, so where is the physical, let me ask you this, just from your intuition.
Okay.
The scene with all the sadness in when you were a child that you just talked about a minute ago.
It's one of very, very many.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I want to
very
zero in on the
distinct.
one.
Good.
I want to zero in on the
Good.
one. What physical issue do you think that contributes to?
First thing that comes to my mind is not even anything I was directly working with here, and it would be ability to even breathe.
Ability to breathe.
Well, I'm saying it's so much life-threateningness that even whether one could breathe or not, I could breathe was the question.
The event itself was life-threatening.
Yes, and how I was treated. I could tell you about it if that would help. I don't know I'm trying to follow
All
your
right.
lead.
I tell you what. Why don't you come back just a little ways here so more people can see what's going on. I'm trying to look at my watch here. We have just a little time to do that.
Cool,
Okay.
do it best I can.
Okay.
I will.
What I want to do here is something that I've done on our EFT tapes with our Vietnam veterans. It's a method I use where we tell the story. What I'd like to have you do is to start to tell the story, okay? But you start telling the story at a time before it even begins, before the intense part begins. Like, I was walking down the street and then, so it's easy to talk about, okay? And then as you start to get into it and you start to get emotional intensity, you stop right there.
Okay.
Anytime you get any emotional intensity, you feel it in your body, you feel it anywhere. And the reason for that is that's when whatever part of that issue is involved is coming right up at the moment, okay? It's right there, all right? And that's when we want to tap on it. What a lot of people do mistakenly, because they've been conditioned. Otherwise, they're supposed to like be brave and charge through their fear and grit your teeth and get through it, kind of thing. No. If you get to a point and you have emotional intensity, that means we haven't done our tapping correctly, and it's an opportunity for us to tap. What a lot of people do is say, "Oh, well, I got to charge through this," and they'll get all the way through it and say, "Well, I was a 7 back there," and we missed our opportunity. You see what I mean? So, do you?
I believe I get it. Okay.
Well, I see a question mark on your face.
I'm trying to think of where I would start.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Just knowing you're going to tell the story, on a scale of 0 to 10, do you have emotional intensity?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
How do you know?
I can feel myself holding still very tensely.
Oh, okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, how tense are you?
Oh, about a 7.
Okay. All right. Here. Even though I'm feeling tense about telling this story,
You want me to say it too?
Sure,
Even
yeah.
though I'm feeling tense about telling this
I
story.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
It was an awful event.
It's an awful event.
It's history.
It's history.
I know that logically,
I know that logically.
but not emotionally.
But not emotionally.
And my body's still carrying it around.
And my body is still
And
carrying
I
it around.
I honor my body for giving me those messages.
I honor my body for giving me those messages.
Okay. I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
Okay.
myself.
Tension about telling the story.
Tension about telling the story.
Tension about just getting into it.
Tension about just getting into
Okay,
it.
raise your arms for me. Tension about just getting into it.
Tension about just getting into
Okay.
it.
Are you still a 7?
Well, I let go with my belly.
Okay, but wait a minute. Did you see what she did? What did she do?
I breathe.
She sighed, okay? That's a sign of emotional relaxation, okay? It's a very telltale sign. Now, she may have shifted to something else, I don't know, but I'm just pointing this out, okay?
I'd say 4, from 7 to 4.
Okay, about telling the story, okay. Yeah, even though I still have some of this telling the story emotion,
Even though I still have some of this telling the story.
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I still have some of this telling
Even
the
though I still have some tension about telling this story.
and I really don't even like the circumstance.
I really don't even like the circumstance.
I wish I wasn't even up here and having to do this.
I wish I wasn't even up here having to do this.
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept
And even though it may be hard to do,
even though it is hard to do.
and nobody else knows the rest of the story but me,
Nobody knows the rest of the story but me.
at least in this room, say at least in this
At least
room,
in this room.
I'm open to the possibility
I'm open to the possibility
that I can forgive all the rest of the people that were involved in this.
that I can forgive all the rest of the people who are involved in this.
At some level, perhaps,
At some level, perhaps.
they were just doing the best they could.
They were just doing the best.
You don't believe that for a minute, do you?
No way in hell, buddy.
Okay, all right. All right. At least you said you were open to the possibility.
Yep,
Okay.
you're a smart man.
All right. Remaining problem.
Remaining problem.
Remaining problem.
Remaining problem.
Remaining telling this story tension.
Remaining telling the story.
Remaining
tension.
telling this story tension. Remaining telling this story tension.
No.
Okay. Are you still a 4? Was it a 4?
No, I'd say at the most a 2.
At the most a 2. Now, how do you know that you were? You said you were your stomach or something?
Wow, how do I explain to you how I know myself so well? The breathing is one of it. The other is change in my vocal tone. The other is how my back feels. And
How does it feel?
It feels whole and complete and
Oh,
not
okay.
broken off into segments of tension.
Oh, okay.
I can feel everything up and down through my back.
Okay. Oh, all right. Whereas normally you cannot?
Normally, I have so many feelers out expecting people to come attack me that it's a wonder I even get out in the morning. So I can feel the difference between when I'm
Okay.
tense or if I'm calming down.
All right. If you would, start telling the story, okay?
Okay.
But the moment, I mean, start at some easy little place out there,
Okay.
okay? But at the moment you get intense, the moment you do, you stop right there, okay? I'm a 3, whatever, okay?
Okay, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm out in the yard. It's a nice day. I come in my house, and there's my dad in the living room.
Okay,
It's
I've got you at a 4. How am I doing?
Low. It'd be more like a 7.
Okay, all right, all right. By the way, how did I get a 4? See, I have this, if you watch my other tapes, I have this thermometer that I put in my head. I'm serious about that, and I watched this thermometer, okay? And she wasn't giving me any physical signs that I could see, but I watched the thermometer, you know, and I was a little low on it. But anyway, even though I don't know what's coming,
Even though I don't know what's coming.
and I have this emotion about my father, is that
I
correct?
have this emotion about my father.
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I think his actions
I think his actions
were inexcusable,
were inexcusable.
okay? And while I'm not willing to forgive him,
I'm not willing to forgive him.
I am willing to carry on the anger forever.
I am willing to carry on the anger forever.
At least that's what I've been doing.
That's what I've been doing.
It's been showing up in my body.
It's been showing up in my body.
It's showing up today.
Showing up today.
It's always been showing up.
It's always been showing up.
I don't have to forgive him.
I don't have to
I
forgive
can just
him.
carry pain.
I can just carry pain.
Okay. My father.
My father.
My father.
My father.
My father.
My
My
father.
father. Raise your arm. My father. Okay. Even though you see, you're still up there. Even though I still have some of this
Even though
father
I still
issue,
have some of this
father
issue.
action issue. Is that
Sadness.
father sadness? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. By the way, we didn't hear sadness before, did we? We didn't hear the word. Okay. So,
You
okay.
got past my defenses.
Okay. Well, I got past your defenses on the one hand.
Yep.
Okay. Well, here, just stay with me. All right.
Okay.
Just stay with me. Just see, her emotions are right up there. I don't have to articulate them. She knows what they are. Right? Am I right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. Are you tuning in on what your father was doing?
Yep. Sitting there glaring.
Sitting there glaring. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Say father glaring.
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 You're right. Father glaring. Father glaring.
Father glaring.
Okay. Remaining father glaring.
Remaining father glaring.
Remaining father glaring.
Remaining father glaring. That's it. Shifted to another scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Okay. Now.
I'm going to try to stay here. I'll stay here.
Okay, but
my best.
but that's okay. That's okay. But I wanted to point out something. So I appreciate you doing this, but it allows me to mention something. She shifted to another scene. Typically, what is happening, and I don't really know. I never know what's inside somebody else. Okay, but typically, what's happening when you hear that is we have done something to resolve enough of the other issue, so something else is more important. And then shows up. There's lots of issues. We're not going to get all these issues here. What we're going to do is we're going to try to take some edge off and that kind of thing here and demonstrate a little bit what's going on. But it shifted to another scene, like some scene other than the one you were going to tell us about?
Well, it'd be like what sometimes be the next thing. I mean, when he would glare, it could be that he might do any number of things, and this is one of the things that he did.
Okay. Was your father a well man?
You mean psychologically or physically?
Anyway.
Oh, he's a very mentally disturbed person. He still is to this day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's not forgivable?
Oh, yes, it is. I just feel very sad.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry. I do
what-
forgive him. I just hate the whole thing. That's the
Well, now
truth.
wait a minute. Now wait a
I'm
minute.
sorry. I can't
No.
be so consistent for you.
No. I'm just pointing it out.
Okay, okay.
I'm just pointing it out because earlier we couldn't forgive him to save our soul.
Well,
if I
was
recall-
just-
if I-
well, I was going along with what you say. I forgive, but I feel bad, but I forgive.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right.
a paradox.
Okay. Whatever emotion I have about my father,
Whatever emotion I have about my
I
father,
forgive myself for having it
I forgive myself for having it.
to the extent that it's bothering me emotionally and physically.
To the extent it's bothering me emotionally and physically.
Is your father living?
Yes.
Oh, he's living. Okay. Do you see him very often?
No.
Okay. Will you ever see him again?
I hope so,
Okay. Why?
because I love him so much.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, he did something you didn't like. Is that because he was disturbed?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Stay with me. Stay with me. See, we don't have to articulate this because you know what it is, don't you?
I sure do.
Okay, but even if you don't, you can't articulate it, your system does.
And I'm not afraid to cry.
It's all right. It's okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. Just say, I could have peace instead of this.
I could have peace instead of this.
Okay. Okay. What's the real issue with your father?
Oh, boy, I don't know. He's always been a very unhappy person. It's a long story. It's a family complex. Goes back who knows how far.
Yeah. But he has a lot of, I'm going to guess, angers and guilt
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
unresolved stuff.
Yeah, violent, unhappy, conflicted person with very little ability to reflect on his own behavior.
Oh, okay. Well, when I said the statement earlier, and I forgot exactly how I worded it, but you resisted it, I remember. But let me bring it up again. I said, I'm open to the possibility of forgiving my father. He was just doing the best he knew how.
Oh, I have such a high view of humans as creatures. I think we all have something very wonderful in us. So it's hard for me to say that we do the best we can. Maybe it's a different definition.
Well, all right. Here, just stay with me. Even though I have a difficult time forgiving my father,
Even though I have a difficult time forgiving my father,
I am open to the possibility that forgiveness is the real issue here.
I'm open to the possibility forgiveness is the real issue here.
It just may be my own inside job that's causing everything.
This could be my own inside job that's causing everything.
What do you call your father?
Dad.
Okay, Dad's going to live out his life.
Dad's going to live out his life.
He's going to go someday.
He's going to go someday.
And I'm going to carry on with all of these emotional issues.
And I'm going to carry on with all these emotional
And all
issues.
these physical issues.
And all these physical issues.
Okay, whether he lives or dies.
Whether he lives or dies.
Whether he gets better or not.
Whether it gets better or not.
Okay, I just have lodged into my system some emotional stuff
I just have logged into my system some emotional stuff
that my father was instrumental in putting
that
there.
my father is instrumental in putting there.
He needs help.
He needs help.
Okay. He's always needed help.
He's always needed help.
Maybe he was doing the best he could given his own background,
Good wording. Maybe he's doing the best he could given his own background.
his own beliefs,
His own beliefs.
his own experiences,
His own experiences.
his own anger,
His own anger.
and his own guilt.
And his own guilt.
And maybe he doesn't know how to show love
And maybe he doesn't know how to show love
because he's never been loved.
because he's never been loved.
Okay. And maybe I can show him the love. All right, stay with me. It's all right. How do you feel physically?
As if I were, it's very painful.
Oh, it is. Where's
It's like, yeah, it's
where's
like
the pain?
it's like an inflammatory sensation all over my whole body. It's
Okay.
quite painful.
Okay. Even though I have this inflammatory sensation.
Even though I have this inflammatory sensation.
And it may be because I just don't want to let it go.
I just don't want to let it go.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
It's going to be there just so long as it's there
It's going to be there as long as it's there
until I let go of it.
until I let go of it.
Oh, inflammatory pain.
Inflammatory pain.
Inflammatory pain.
Inflammatory pain.
Again.
Inflammatory pain.
Again.
Inflammatory pain.
Okay. Again.
Inflammatory pain.
Again.
Inflammatory
Okay,
pain.
do the 9 again, but close your eyes. Open. Hard down right. Hard down left. In a circle. Other way. Happy birthday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Happy birthday. Okay, how is it now? How's the inflammatory pain right now?
It feels more like tingling than like the achy inflammatory flu pain. It
That's-
feels more like a tingling.
Is that better?
It's, I hope so. It's like an interregnum state, and that's fine with me,
Okay, well, come here. Even though I still have some tingling,
even though I still have some
I
tingling.
deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely
Even
accept
though I still
myself.
have some
Even
tingling,
though I still have some
I
tingling.
deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept
And I
myself.
forgive myself for having it.
And I forgive myself for having it.
Okay. And I forgive myself for not forgiving myself.
And I forgive myself for not forgiving myself. Am I stubborn?
And I forgive myself for judging myself.
And I forgive myself for judging myself.
I should leave that to others. They do a good job of it.
Why?
I should leave that to others. They
I
do a
should leave
good
that to others. They do a good job of it.
judging myself.
Judging myself.
Judging myself.
Judging myself.
Remaining tingling.
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 How's the tingling now?
Well, the only way I could describe it is I feel as though I could get down to the business of healing now.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm optimistic.
Well, you had something in your stomach, I know. You had something in your back. Didn't you at one point have something up here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how is that overall?
Oh, I don't want to tell you this. It's about the same.
That's all right. No, it's okay. It's okay. How do you know what to say? I mean, what'd you do?
I can feel the restrictions and the hurt where it hurts when I move.
Okay, where does it hurt when you move?
My voluntary muscles.
Oh, okay. All right. Any voluntary muscle?
Through the weight-bearing muscles, the shoulders, the hips,
Okay.
the spinal column area.
Okay, now, see, you have a lot of it, like the story you were going to tell us, which I'm not going to ask you to tell at this point, okay?
Yeah.
The story you were going to, what does that mean? What, like relief, I don't want to tell a story?
No, it means, yes, there is a whole lot, and I'm doing my damnedest to comply here to work well.
Yeah, okay. Well, see, what needs to happen, and we don't have the time here
I
for it.
understand.
But what needs to happen, we need to get to that issue, and we need to take all of it apart. And that's going to take, the whole afternoon
Sure,
or something like that to
sure.
do that. We don't have time for
That's
here.
what I need to do sometime.
But what I wanted to do was to get to a point, where we had some resolution on and some cognitive shifts. Did anybody hear cognitive shifts? What were they? What were they? Yeah. Can we have a microphone? Who was it?
Forgiveness was one.
Yeah, her perception on it was one. At least by her comment. Anybody
Anger,
else?
didn't it?
Anybody else? Go ahead, John. See if we're talking about you here.
Anger to
about
sadness
ourselves.
and a willingness to change, a willingness to look at it.
Yeah.
And I noticed also that she said something about all the pressure in the weight-carrying muscles of
Yes.
the body, which she has been carrying this weight, this burden,
Sure.
all of her
Yeah.
life.
That's her own metaphor. Our metaphors show up in our body. Okay. All right.
Good point.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Even though I have all this weight,
Even though I have all this weight,
it's really nothing but a cloud.
it's nothing but a cloud.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Deeply and completely accept myself.
Clouds aren't hard to carry.
Clouds aren't hard to carry.
They're just a bunch of mist.
They're just a bunch of mist.
So are thoughts sometimes.
So are thoughts sometimes.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What weighs nothing, but is powerful enough to start a war?
Thoughts.
And beliefs. Yeah. Sometimes we just have beliefs that are nothing but just beliefs. That's all they are. And we have a war inside. Even though I'm carrying everything on my shoulders,
Even though I'm carrying everything on my shoulders.
all my father's problems,
All my father's problems.
and probably a lot of other problems,
a lot of other problems.
other people's problems,
Other people's
my
problems.
problems.
My problems.
Anybody who wants to give me problems,
Anybody wants to give me problems.
world problems,
World problems.
might as well.
Mine-
Okay. I let them go. They are but clouds.
I let them go, they are but clouds.
Okay. Move your body again and tell me if you see any difference. That's okay if it isn't.
It is, it is.
It is what?
I'm starting to feel more like I'm getting my active self back.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, if the number was a 10, okay, what is it now?
3.
10 to 3? Oh, it's that much. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have to take a break, unfortunately. I want to visit with you afterwards over here in the corner, if I may. Because it's 2:42. We're going to get back at 2:57. And by the way,
You are an engineer.
yes, I am. But by the way, I want to tell you something, though, please. Last time, we were 10 minutes into this, and people were still coming in, and they walked in front of the cameras, and there were still little noises, and seats were empty, and stuff like that. Please, 15 minutes, get back in your seat. Please, pretty please. Thank you. Come on over here.
Okay. There are times I wish I could just shut off my concern about everybody else in the world and just
Okay.
exist.
Even though I think I'm everyone else's savior,
I think I'm everyone. There you go. Everyone else's savior.
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I may not have big-time belief in God,
I mean, I big time believe in God.
but if anybody needs a savior,
Randy needs a savior.
I'll give him the job.
I'll give him the
I don't
job.
need to do it
I
anymore.
don't need to do it anymore.
I mean, after all, if I can save my whole family,
I'll save my own family.
if I can save my whole
If I can
family,
save-
why
if I
couldn't I
can-
save the world?
Why couldn't I
There
save
is
the
no
world?
end to this savior business.
There is no end to this savior business.
Okay, except there's no me left in it.
There's no me left in it.
Okay, savior business.
Savior business.
Letting it go.
Letting it go.
Needing to keep it.
Needing to keep it.
All my needs to be a savior.
All my needs to be a savior.
All my needs to be in charge.
All my needs to be in charge.
All my needs to be important.
All my needs to be
All
important.
my needs to take care of this poor dysfunctional family.
All my needs to take care of this poor dysfunctional planet.
Planet, okay. Which couldn't possibly get along without
But
me.
couldn't possibly get along without me. You got my number, buddy.
I got your number. do this and see what it's like. Huh?
Yeah, it's better. Look at that. Now, you know how? Because I immediately went further without going, oh. Look, there's more extension.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go further before I feel like it's a challenge. It's much better.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay.
It's better than I've had in a long
Okay.
time.
Okay. Even though I still have some of this savior tension,
Even though I still have some of this savior tension. There you go.
I
Now you got
deeply
my
and
number.
completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I would love to be the world's biggest savior.
Well,
Say it anyway.
I would love to be the world's biggest savior.
But I'm ready to hand the baton to someone else.
I'm ready to hand the baton to someone else.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Savior need.
Savior need.
Savior need.
Savior need.
Save the planet.
Save the planet.
Everybody.
Everybody.
What's going to happen when you finally die? Is there everything else going to cave in, or will there be other saviors?
Oh, we keep coming around.
We keep coming around. Okay.
Yep, till the whole mess gets cleaned up.
I
What a
see.
pain in the ass.
Okay. Do the rest of them have all this difficulty with the tension in their muscles
Oh,
and stuff?
probably
Yeah,
not.
Try it
They're
again.
so much better than I am.
Try it again.
Yeah, it's greatly improved. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a lot of improvement.
Well, okay, if it was a 10 to begin with, it was overall. If the overall thing was a 10, what do you give it now?
2.
Oh, a 2. Okay. Okay. Even though I'm not 100% flexible,
Even though I'm not 100% flexible and out of pain,
flexible and out of pain,
Yeah.
I deeply, completely accept
I
myself.
deeply, completely accept myself.
If I can go from a 10 to a 2,
If I can go to 10 from 2,
I wonder why I have to stay at a 2.
wonder why I have to stay at a 2.
Saviors do that.
Saviors.
I mean, I may not believe in Jesus.
Well, now, Buddhas have bodhisattvas. I may not believe in Jesus or Buddha or anybody.
Okay, but at least he had those nails in his hand, like all saviors do.
At least they
Had his nails.
had nails like all saviors do.
Okay. God bless the saviors.
Bless the saviors.
Bless the saviors. Okay.
Bless the
That's right. You're a practicing pagan, right? Didn't you
Yeah.
tell me that on the phone? Bless the
Yeah, I
saviors.
did. I'm in trouble.
You're trouble. Right here in River City, you know. Okay, try it again. Send me still to 2.
Nope. It's almost. It's. I still have an overall sense of but it's low. It's
Well, 1.
Yeah, 1. Yeah. Well, no. It's. I'm sorry. I wish I could
It's all
say
right.
that.
No. Say what's accurate. Don't you know?
But this is more than I've been able to do. Yeah, it's still pretty bad back there.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
got a lot of
Okay.
calcium
Okay.
deposits.
Even though it's bad back there,
Even though it's bad back there.
and I'm blaming it on calcium deposits.
And I'm blaming it on calcium deposits.
Saviors do that.
Saviors do
They
that.
blame it on everything else,
They blame it
including themselves. I deeply completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
I give
myself.
up being perfect.
I give up being perfect. Oh, you found my secret.
I give up being perfect.
I give up being perfect.
I give up being
I
perfect.
give up being perfect.
Perfection is for the perfect.
Perfection is for the perfect.
They're all a bunch of jerks. Who likes a perfect person?
Who likes a perfect person?
I don't like a perfect person.
I don't like a
All
perfect person.
Try it again. Do this thing. Do this thing. Is it any different?
It's half reduced. It's half.
Okay.
It's still there. But we've made a lot of progress.
Well, we're going to do one more round on
Oh,
that.
okay.
Even though I still have some of that neck thing.
Even though I still have some of that.
I deeply
neck
and completely
pain, I
accept.
deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay, even though I still have some of that neck pain.
Even though I still have some of that neck pain.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
deeply and
And all
completely
those
accept myself.
calcium deposits
And
or
all
whatever
those
else
calcium doesn't, whatever the heck else is going on.
lodged in there,
Lodged in there.
including my emotions.
Including my emotions.
Okay.
Okay.
Calcium emotions.
Calcium emotions.
Calcium emotions.
Calcium emotions.
Calcium emotions.
Calcium emotions.
Again.
Again, calcium emotions. Calcium emotions.
Try it again. Still the same? Okay. That's all right. You don't have to be sorry. Okay. But the rest of it is more flexible. Do that little dance for me again.
I'm a dance teacher, actually.
Okay. Is any of it coming back now?
It's the betterness is staying about at the same level.
Okay, so like a 1 or a 2 or something. Oh, okay. What I may do is when we resume, I may just give you the microphone. You can talk a little bit about this session.
Okay.
And mention the Savior thing if you would, and whatever else happened, or whatever other buttons got to you. Okay. Okay. All right. What we did though, we got to the point
Savior.
that you were a Savior.
Oh yes. I'm
Save
going
your
to.
family and your father and the
Logically
planet.
speaking, I know that the world needs something different, but emotionally, apparently, I have the conviction that I have to save the world. I blush to say that because it's so foolish, but there it is.
Oh, we need you.
Well, just the other spiritual beliefs and practices have save your stories too, so it's a general thing. But he caught me at a root issue, which is I tend to feel terribly responsible for everybody and everything.
Now, if she was a client of mine, she came back, next week, and we talked again, she had more pains, I wouldn't say to myself, oh, gee, the EFT didn't hold or something like that. Because I'd go back and start digging into the emotional issues that we dealt with, and chances are I'm not going to find much left with those specific emotional issues. Other aspects, yes, okay, and that's what's showing up in her body. So we all have weak spots in our bodies, and that's where we tend to manifest, a lot of our stresses, et cetera. Yours happens to be a little more global than others do. But thank you. Thank you, dear. Okay.